Hello everyone, and welcome back to the garage. In this video, we're going to be revisiting the first pinball machine that I restored on this channel, a 1948 Chicago Coin Catalina. In this video, we're going to be doing some circuit modification to this game because as it is right now, this machine, the only way to turn it off completely is to unplug it from the wall. And that's not ideal, especially if this machine were to be back in a public location at some point in its life. So what we're going to do in this video is install a power switch in this machine so that you can just reach down and turn it off like on any other pinball machine, and you don't have to unplug it from the wall. So let's get started. And of course, it goes without saying, if you haven't seen the restoration series I made on this pinball machine, I'll include a link in the description that'll take you to the playlist for this machine, and you'll be able to watch the series there. So first I'll show you how this machine was designed to operate from the factory. So right now it's unplugged, so of course everything's off. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in and watch what happens when I do. You can see as soon as the cord is plugged in, we have a couple lights behind the back box that come on immediately. You'll have to excuse the background noise because I'm filming this outside. So as you can see, those two lights will remain on as long as the machine is plugged in. Those will never turn off. Now, of course, those aren't all the lights in this machine. If I go ahead and push the little bracket that the coin rejector hits, I have it removed right now, but this will start the game. You can see more lights come on. We have the bumper lights on, we have the Catalina lights on the back on, and of course, when we score points, the point lights here and here will also be on. So when you first plug the game in and it's just those two lights that are on, the transformer in this game is not running. But once you start the game and all the other lights come on, now the transformer is running. So here's where the power situation in this game gets a little bit interesting. This machine technically has a power switch, but it's not a true 100% power off switch. There's a button under the machine that if you press it, it will open up the leaf switch and it will deactivate the transformer, which will turn off the playfield lights, the Catalina lights, and any point value lights that are lit. So I'm going to go ahead and push that. And you can see I pushed it and now the playfield lights are off, backglass lights are off. The only things that are on right now are the two lights in the back box. The transformer is now disabled. So as I've said earlier, the only way to turn off these two lights is to unplug the machine. And that is not ideal, especially for a machine that's this old. This backglass is 76 years old and it's survived really well, but say if these were normal incandescent bulbs, I've upgraded these to LEDs, the heat from the bulbs would heat up the backglass and it would cause the paint to flake. And it's already started to happen here. I've kind of touched up the backglass here a little bit, and there's some flaking right where the bulbs are. I can see it. So even though these are LEDs now, there's still a possibility that the backglass could get a little bit warm because obviously the LEDs aren't 100% efficient. They're going to generate a little bit of heat. And so I don't want to take any chances of having this backglass flake because it's in really nice condition. So that is what the power switch is going to solve. We'll be able to reach down, push the button, and have everything turn off. So let me show you how this machine is wired, and I'll show you what I'm going to do to rewire it for a different switch because it's going to need some modification. So at this point, you're probably wondering, how is it that this machine is wired so that when you go ahead and push the button to open the leaf switch, it happens to be this one right here. I've labeled it the kill switch. How is it that when you press that, it will turn everything off except for the lights in the back box, those two LED lights? So how this machine is wired is you have the AC line cord coming in there, hooks up to the transformer, but you also have another cord that is before the transformer, that's this one right here, and this gets line voltage directly off of the power cord. So you have 120 volts going through here and up here, and this is another 120 volt AC plug, and that plug happens to be what powers those two light bulbs in the back box. So I will show you what that looks like. So here's the inside of the back box, and we don't have to do any modifications back here to make the power switch that we're going to install work. But as you can see, right down here, we have an AC line cord that is plugged in to an electrical outlet. So if I unplug this, you can see it's just a standard line cord. And that is what is powering the two lights. I'll go ahead and open this door here in a second and show you what this looks like. But that plug gets 120 volts as long as the machine is plugged in. And so that is why those lights stay on all the time. So by removing this screw here and loosening these two clamps, you can go ahead and open this door. Now it's only going to open up a little bit because the coil for one of the scoring assemblies hits, so it can only open this far. But you can see we have two big LED bulbs right there. And so those are the lights that are powered on all the time. So as you can see, these two bulbs are just screwed into standard light bulb sockets. If I wanted to get at the 6-volt standard pinball bulbs, or LEDs in this case, I'd have to open up this panel, and I don't want to do that because it is very close to the back glass, and since the back glass paint is already flaking, I don't want to open up that panel again unless I absolutely have to. So you can see how this is wired, and we're going to install a power switch that those lights will actually turn off when you want to turn the machine off. So I'll go ahead and show you how I'm going to rewire this machine to make that happen. And so currently how this machine is set up to operate is when you push the coin rejector in to start the game for the first time, that will engage this switch here. It'll push this, and then this switch will lock on, and that will complete the circuit to the transformer. And so that will power it on and power on the rest of the game. And so this switch will remain locked on while the game is running. And so when you push this switch here, this is a normally closed switch, so when you hit the button, it will open it. And so when that switch opens, like you saw when I pushed it, this switch will release because it will break the circuit for the power going to this coil, and it will turn off the transformer, and so everything except those two back box lights will turn off. So the way to wire this machine up so that everything turns off is we need to move this switch from the secondary side of the transformer to the primary side, because we need to break the circuit that this cord is a part of. So what we need to do is install the switch before this cord gets to the transformer. So I'm going to undo this cord, and what we're going to do is have the cord come in. We're going to have it first go to the switch. I'm going to install a proper push button switch. So we're going to delete this leaf switch, and then after the leaf switch, then it will go to the transformer. And so that makes it so that when the push button switch is engaged, then there's power getting to here, and that will power on the lights in the back box. And then because we don't need this switch anymore, what I'm also going to do is, because this is a normally closed switch, I'm going to remove the leaf switch. We're going to remove it from the game entirely, and I'm going to solder these two wires together so that they will always have power going through them, because when the game is running, there is always power going through these wires. So solder those together. I'm going to desolder the line cord. I'm going to reuse the same hole that's right here. This machine, when I got it, it didn't have a button here. It was missing. So what I ended up doing in the meantime is I just installed a little screw there, and I have two nuts right here so that it will only push in just a little bit like that. And then I have another nut and washer on this side so that it doesn't fall out. And that works to make this switch work, but obviously I want to install something better that will actually turn the machine off. So I'm going to go ahead and get this process started, and I will show you what it looks like when I'm done doing the work. So here's the new switch we're going to install. As you can see, it is a pretty heavy duty push on, push off style switch. It's rated for 120 volts, and so this will make a perfect power switch for Catalina. So let's go ahead and start removing the existing switch assembly. All right, I have installed the new power switch into the system, And I have soldered these two wires that went to the old leaf switch together. I'm going to be putting some heat shrink over that so the joint is not exposed. But you can see there's the new switch. I have a washer on that end to keep it in place. And that's what it looks like under the machine. I have a washer on this end as well so that everything can be nice and tight. We have a nut and a locking nut, and that is what the switch looks like. It looks very nice. So that will work as a perfect power switch for this game. Now, let's go ahead and wire it up. So as you can see now, I put heat shrink on those two wires and bent them out of the way. So those are done. Now I am ready to wire up the switch itself. So what I'm going to be doing is wiring this switch to the hot side so that when you turn the power to the machine off, it will turn off the hot side. And so the way I'm going to be doing that is I'm going to be desoldering this wire on the transformer right here. This is the hot side of the AC line cord. I'm going to put a wire extension from there to one end of the switch, and then this end of the switch, I'll hook another wire extension up and put it back to the transformer where that hot side cord is now, and then this machine will be wired to be truly able to power itself on and off. So I will go ahead and get that work done and show you the results. All right, here is the final wiring job for the switch. I have everything all connected and ready to go. So how I have it set up now is the AC line cord comes in, and instead of the hot side going directly to the transformer, it goes out to this yellow wire here, and that goes to one end of the switch, and then the other end of the switch goes back through the other yellow wire and then goes to the transformer where the line cord used to go. So basically we just added a switch between the line cord and the primary side of the transformer. So now the machine will actually be able to turn itself on and off completely. So let's go ahead and put the playfield down and we'll test it out. So now with that modification finished, let's go ahead and plug in the machine and see what happens. All right, you can see now I plugged the machine in, nothing happened. That is what we want to see. So now let's push the switch underneath the cabinet that we installed. There we go. That is exactly what I wanted to see. The lights come on when you hit the switch, and then when you hit it again, it turns off. So now this machine has a proper power on and off switch. We'll go ahead and turn it back on here. And we will start a game. You can see that everything is still working fine. The transformer came back on and everything looks good. So now, when I go ahead and push the power off switch, everything should shut off. And that's exactly what happened. And so now when I turn it back on, because the switch on the underside of the playfield has released, the transformer will not be activated again unless I start the game. So when I turn it on, it'll just be the two lights in the back box. And as you can see, that's what we got. So that's exactly how I wanted this to go. This machine now has the ability to turn itself on and off without you having to go to the wall and unplug it every time you want everything off. So now I made this machine normal again. This is how it should have been from the factory. And that is all I have for this little follow-up on the Chicago Coin Catalina. We gave it a true power switch, so now it functions like any other pinball machine when you go to power it on and off. I don't know if all Chicago coin machines from the 1940s are like this, but if they are, hopefully this video is helpful to you if you want to install a true power switch mod into your machine. So that is all I have for today. I will see you in my next video.